Story time about how my stepmom got with my boyfriend. So a little background information, I was 18 and it was my senior year of high school. And my mom and my dad got a divorce whenever I was 11 years old. My dad moved to a whole other state. My sister went with him and then my brother and I stayed with my mom. Because my mom said it was a time where we need our mom in our lives. But to be honest, I think she just wanted child support. Anyways, after elementary school, I moved back in with my dad. And at the time, he was dating this woman who we're going to call Carol. And she was like the sweetest girl I'd ever met. I actually called her mom even though they weren't married because I was so close to her. So fast forward, they get married. I'm super happy for them. My senior year of high school, I start dating this guy named Paul. Well, since I was close with Carol, I told her about him first. After a while of him and I dating, she suggested that he should come over for dinner. So I ended up inviting him to this party that my dad hosts every year. And I was super excited. Well, I see him and Carol talking, and I'm super happy because I want him to get along with my family. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my stepmom got with my boyfriend. So like I said, I invited my boyfriend to this party that my dad hosts every year. And he starts talking to Carol, which I was super happy about because I wanted him to get along with my family. Well, during the party, him and Carol go missing for like half an hour. And there were a ton of people there, and my dad's house was big as fuck. So I was like, okay, maybe he got lost. So finally I find him and then I asked him where he had been. Then he said that he went to the bathroom, which was extremely weird because I had already showed him where the bathrooms were on the first floor whenever he came to the party. So I was like, whatever. And then Carol came downstairs, but I didn't really think anything of it. Fast forward, I was on my way home from this tutoring class. My friend was driving me because I didn't have a car. Well, we get home and we hear loud moaning noises all the way outside. And I see Paul's car in my driveway. And I was like, well, it can't be my dad because he's out of town. So I go in, I catch them, I ask them how long it's been going on. They say since the party. So I tell my dad about it, he gives her a second chance, and then I move back in with my mom. Story time about how I caught my grandma with my dad. So a little background information, I was 16, and it was the first day of 11th grade. Well, my friend wanted me to come to the mall with her after school that day. She was like, screw your grandma's birthday, just come to the mall with me. So the plan was I would sneak onto my best friend's bus after school and skip my grandma's birthday. By the way, my grandma was low-key a hoe. Like, half of her kids won't even bring their husbands around her, because after she got their numbers, she would end up sending nude pictures to them. Anyway, so the end of the day rolls around and I go to my locker to get my book bag when I'm called down to the office. So I go down to the office and my mom is there to pick me up because she said that we needed to do a few things before our grandma's party. Well, my grandma was at our house getting ready and my mom forgot her wallet at home, so when we went back home, I went to go put my book bag in the house. When I walk in and I see my grandma and dad on the couch, and I'm not even going to say what they were doing, and my mom is walking past them like she didn't see anything. So after that, I called one of my aunts and asked if I could stay with her for a while, and now I don't talk to any of them. Story time about how I was almost kidnapped. So a little background information, I was 13, and it was the summer going into 9th grade. I was on a road trip with my family, and we needed to stop for some gas. So we stopped at some random gas station, and we see this lady get out of her car and walk in. No big deal, though. So we're inside, and we're waiting in line to use the bathroom. So we were in the front of the line, and then that lady was behind us, and then there were a few people behind her. So as we're standing in line, she FaceTimes some guy, and then she starts pointing the camera at people around the store, and she would be like, oh, do you like this? And he would say yes or no. Well, then she points the phone at me, and then he goes, yeah, that's the one. And my mom and I were super creeped out about this because she was being super loud and she was taking a really long time at this gas station. So my mom goes into the bathroom, and then she starts to talk to me. She starts asking how old I am, where I'm from, and if my mom and I were here with anybody else. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how I was almost kidnapped. So like I said, she starts to talk to me and ask me super personal questions, and I'm being vague about everything that I possibly can be. So I go in, I use the restroom after my mom, we grab some snacks, and then she follows us around the whole store, and she didn't even use the bathroom. So we leave the store and we saw the car that she got out of, and it was parked right next to our car, when originally it was parked all the way across the parking lot. And I'm guessing the man who she was on FaceTime with was in the car, and he was sitting right where my car door was. So my mom and I decided to walk around a little bit, and this lady is just following behind us the whole time. So we call my dad, who was across the street at another store. We told him about the situation, so he comes and picks us up, and then he sees the car pick the lady up, and they start following us. So then they followed us for about 25 to 30 freaking miles, and then they ended up turning off on some random road. And I have a feeling if my mom and I didn't pay such close attention to what they were doing, I would have been kidnapped and trafficked. Story time about my toxic best friend group. So a little background information. I was 16, and it was the end of 9th grade going into summer break. And one day randomly these 3 girls added me on Snapchat and put me into a group chat. Now I had seen them around school, but I never said hi to them. I was finding it very hard to make friends in 9th grade because everybody was so toxic. Anyways, like I said, they added me to a group chat, and all of them said hi to me. And usually I wouldn't respond to random people on Snapchat, but because I had seen them around school, I decided why not. And it was so random, they just started sending pictures of themselves into this group chat. And it low-key made me feel bad because I kind of hated my physical appearance. But anyways, they asked me if I wanted to be friends with them. Oh, and by the way, their names were Stacy, Savannah, and Emily. So of course I said yeah because it was hard for me to make friends. So fast forward, my birthday was coming up. So they asked me if we could hang out. They said they wanted to give me an early birthday present. So I said yes, of course. Like for part 2. Part 2 about my toxic friend group. So like I said, they asked me if we could hang out to give me an early birthday present. So I said yeah. And Emily had a pool at her house, so they asked me if I wanted to go over there. And of course I said yeah, it was summertime and it was hot outside. Well, when I got there, they asked me to order the pizza and they said that I had to pay for it. So I said yeah, because they were my besties at the time. So I used some of my birthday money to pay for the pizza for all of us. And when I got back to Emily's house, they were all already in the pool. So I was kind of mad, 1, because they didn't go with me, and 2, they were just hanging out without me. So we're sitting there eating the pizza. And then after, all 3 of them get in the pool and they start taking pictures with each other, not even asking me to be in any pictures. So at that point, I was so annoyed, I was just like, you guys are being so rude. And Emily's like, what are you talking about? We didn't even do anything. And then, of course, Stacy and Savannah agreed. So I was like, 1, you didn't even ask me to be in any pictures and you made me pay for the pizza for all of us. And she was like, you're ugly, we didn't want you in the pictures. So I threw the pizza away and went home. Story time about why I will never ever ride in an Uber ever again. So a little background information. I was 16 and in 11th grade. So my parents decided to go away for the weekend. They wanted to go and visit some family who lived like 2 hours away. So I decided that it was a good idea to invite my friends and my boyfriend and his friends over for a sleepover. And once we were all at my house, we realized that we were pretty bored, so we decided to go to the fair. So we decided to go to the fair around 9:15. But because we were all lazy AF, we decided to just get an Uber to the fair instead of driving. The Uber there was fine. We went, we had a super great time, and then it was time to go home. It said our Uber was going to come at 10:30, but instead it came at 10:45, which I didn't think was a big deal because Ubers are late sometimes. So we all got into the Uber, and mind you, my house was literally 15 minutes away. So I ended up taking a nap because I was really tired, and then I woke up, like for part 2. Part 2 about why I will never ever ride in an Uber ever again. So like I said, my house was only 15 minutes away, so since I was really tired from the fair, I decided to take a nap. Well, I woke up 20 minutes later, and we were in the middle of nowhere. Like, when I tell you, we were on a road that literally just kept on going. I asked my boyfriend where we were, and he said that we had been on this road for a while. So at this point, we're all texting each other. And all of our friends are saying, no, we're fine, this is the way. And then I look up my address on Google Maps, and we are 45 minutes away from my house. So then I send it in the group chat, and now everybody starts to freak out. Not to mention, our Uber driver was on the phone the whole time, but he had his AirPods in, and we couldn't understand anything that he was saying. So that's when my friend Sophie, she was in the front seat, she shoved the directions in his face, and was like, I think you're going the wrong way. So then he busts a U-turn, and he's yelling at this point on the phone. And an hour later, we make it back to my house. I have a feeling if it wasn't for my friend Sophie, we wouldn't have made it out of there. Okay, I don't know if this video is blowing up again, but sis, this was already addressed. It is crazy that, like, you know, people are like, oh, it's illegal. It's crazy that you guys know all this, but you can't read a caption. Make it make sense, please. Like, how are you gonna come to my page and not read the caption of every single story time? And before you guys come at this, I ripped half of the skin off on my lip while I was waxing, so suck it. Anyways, I'm happy I could clear things up for you guys again. Oh, and before you guys say, why don't you just put it in the video? Because there's no need for that. People should be able to look at the caption. If they're gonna read it in my video, why not read it in the caption? That's what it's for. Story time about how my best friend set me up to get cheated on. So a little background information. I was 16 and in 11th grade, and I went to a very strict boarding school. I was best friends with this girl who we're gonna call Emma, and we were the closest out of our whole friend group. Well, our boarding school also had a building for all the boys, but it was like a mile or two away from our building. Well, the days that we had off, the juniors and seniors were allowed to go visit each other's campuses. Well, a couple of the senior boys put together a little celebration for the first day of school. So my friends and I got ready, we went to the party, and my friend Emma pointed out this one group of guys. So we went over there, they were all super nice, but I hit things off with this kid who we're gonna call Ethan. We exchanged numbers. Well, when we got back to the dorm, I told Emma about Ethan, and she was like being super weird. She was like, ew, you shouldn't date him. He's really sus. I would have thought that she wished that she got with Ethan, but she hit it off with one of the guys from the same friend group. So Ethan and I end up dating, and Emma did not like that. Like for part 3. Part 2 about how my best friend set me up to get cheated on. So like I said, sooner or later, Ethan and I started dating, and Emma did not like that. And Ethan was honestly the best boyfriend ever. Never saw any red flags or anything like that. So fast forward, Ethan and I have been dating for 4 months. Well, winter break rolled around, and you had a choice to just take the day off, or you could stay and help the school clean up and stuff like that. So Ethan and I decided to go help at the school, and he was just acting super different. It wasn't like cheating or anything like that, but something was off. Like, he would tell me to go through his phone, but the weird thing was is he always deleted his messages with Emma. Well, the one day Emma sends me a video of Ethan making out with some girl. So I broke up with Ethan. He said it wasn't his fault, but he couldn't tell me why. Well, a month goes by, and one of the other girls in our friend group says that she has to tell me something. Apparently, she went through Emma and Ethan's conversations, and Emma was blackmailing him with a video of him destroying school property. She said that she would send it to the school if he didn't send her proof of him cheating on me. Now Ethan and I have been dating for 2 years, and Emma still tries to reach out, but everyone in our friend group cut her off.